Welcome to Snowman Radio, the Bobby and Chris the Entertainer edition. Chris, you got anything on your mind? I mean, I know there's been some stuff that happened in the last last day, but you are the guest. I want to give you the floor. Anything on your mind? You excited for hockey? Because there's just not a ton to talk about today. Especially if you're, a Nets and a Knicks fan talking to each other. There's not a ton to talk about.
There's nothing going on in the NBA world right now between the New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets, specifically the Nets. You guys didn't do anything yesterday that I saw that was of any kind of relevance. But no, I mean, all kidding aside, last night the Knicks, they got embarrassed. Final score didn't indicate the outcome of that game. You guys, the first quarter, I think it was about tied. I think you were up by 1 point. And then after that, the Nets just took complete control of that basketball game. Knicks went on a little bit of a run at the end. But the stats are misleading. I know Barrett had a pretty good statistical game, 7 of 15, 20 points. I think he had like 5 rebounds, but he didn't play good outside of the third quarter. Randall was really our only offense. Mitch Robinson played pretty well, but overall the Knicks just look lost right now, and hopefully they get out of this. It's kind of what I expected this year. I think you're going to have ebbs and flows with a young team, with a new head coach. We're not there yet. We still need other playmakers. And the Nets were without 2/5 of their starting lineup, or 2 of their 5 most important impact players, now that they made that James Harden trade, and you guys severely outplayed us. Kevin Durant is ridiculous. I mean, I don't get to watch a lot of net games, but that guy, he just makes it look so easy, Bobby. It's just ridiculous. He's got a guy right in his face. He's hitting it from 27 feet. He's got no problems.
I've never had that player on my team before. Never. And most people haven't, because he's a top 3 player in the NBA right now. Some would argue one. I still think LeBron's one, but he's a top 3 player in the NBA. Probably the best just scorer in the NBA right now. And it's unreal. He just kind of does whatever he wants. And the defense against Kevin Durant, it's just hope he's off. That's really the only defense for him. And we'll talk Nets Knicks, and then we'll talk about the Harden trade. But I mean, I was having fun last night, I'll admit, because the James Harden trade happened, and then me personally, I'm just I'm celebrating. But because I'm a Giants guy, most of my followers are Knicks fans. And then you got some Celtics fans in there. So everyone's trying to rain on my parade. So I'm fired up, jabbing back at people, explaining why I like the Harden trade. And we'll get into it in a second. And then we get to play the Knicks with out half of our roster and then win that game. So I was just I put out a tweet last night, and I knew it was going to, I knew I'd lose followers from it. And I did, but I was I didn't care. I put out I respect the Knicks, even though they have no future and they're devoid of talent. And but it's Tom Thibodeau will get those guys right. So the game was just fun for me last night. If the Knicks had won, I know you guys are driving the knife into me a little bit, so I had to give it back. Here's what I'll say to you. Why do they try and play Elfrid Payton? He is so frustrating to watch. I'm down here in Florida, so I watched him in Orlando. He sucks. I don't understand why anybody wants him. He's horrible. As soon as he comes in the game, your team looks worse. I remember he tried to throw up a lob, and our 5'9" point guard and Chris Chiozza stopped this. What is this guy doing? He's if he was on my team, I would get so frustrated watching him every game.
Elfrid Payton, to me, he's too one-dimensional. The guy can't shoot. He's not a very good player. I understand to start the year, giving him some minutes, being that he's a veteran. Emmanuel Quickly, I get it. He's a late first-round pick. Maybe you want to ease him in. But we need to start to see that transition now. I mean, the Knicks are 5-7. We're not going anywhere fast this year. You need to develop your younger talent. Kevin Knox on the bench. He played well last night. Only got about 23, 24 minutes. You want to see these younger players get more minutes, start to build up some chemistry, and hopefully mature as players this year. RJ Barrett, Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina when he comes back, Emmanuel Quickly. Those are the guys that Knicks fans want to see on the floor. Obi Toppin, who came back last night, but they said he wasn't going to play much. They're trying to ease him back in. But I'm with you. I'm sick of the Elfrid Paytons of the world. I don't want to see him out there that much. Burks, when he comes back, yeah, sure, he could help. Same thing with Rivers, but we need to see these young players progress, because that's the future of this team. We need to see what we have, going forward, and which guys could be impact players, and that's kind of where the Knicks are right now. Even at 5-7 with 4 straight losses, we got to be thinking towards next year and the future. And the other thing I want to bring up is Julius Randle. Julius Randle, at this point in time, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, or maybe 2 episodes ago, rather. Knicks got to trade him. And Knicks fans may not want to hear that. They may come kill me for that, but it's my honest opinion. You trade a player when he's at his highest value. Julius Randle, in my opinion, is not in the long-term plans for this basketball team when they get to where they need to be. And maybe I'll be wrong, and maybe he is. But if he's not, you got to trade this guy. His value's not going to get much higher than it is right now. The guy's, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. I would look to trade him definitely before the trade deadline this year. You mute. I don't hear you.
Sorry. I remember we were talking a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, this is the time to try and trade Randall. So, yeah, but let's talk about the freaking Nets getting James Harden. You guys are down from your Knicks high. Although I do still like Tom Thibodeau. Word of the day is spam, because someone would apologize for spamming anymore. So I responded to somebody that said, spam my notifications because why not? And I said, this is not time to be joking around about this. Grow up, little boy. So we'll see if we'll get them to we'll see if we'll get them to respond.
I think you're gonna get a response on that one.
Well, that person's asking for interaction. So if they don't, I mean, every time I word search, it's just anime accounts. Like, they always have an anime like pictures. I don't know. It's weird.
Are you into anime?
No.
I never got into the anime.
Did you ever do like Dragon Ball Z or anything?
Never got into that. So many of my
Some
subscribers
of my friends
are like,
I never got in.
Chris, you got to watch anime, or my friends, some of them watch anime. I don't get the point. Like I never got the anime thing.
I know Goku from Dragon Ball Z. I just know Kamehameha. That whole thing. Do you know that?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe actually I don't know how to spell Kamehameha. So the Nets obviously trade for James Harden. They get James Harden. The Rockets get Victor Oladipo, Dante Exum, Rodion Kurucs, 4 first-rounders from Brooklyn, including one that is from Milwaukee, and then 4 pick swaps with the Nets. So the Nets don't have any draft for the next 8, but I could care less. The Pacers get Karis LeVert in a second-round pick, which I actually think is good for them to move off Oladipo and get a guy like LeVert, and then the Cavs get Allen and Prince. This, to me, is so exciting. This is the chance, and maybe there's some young fans, and there's people who just disagree with me, and I get that. But we're never probably going to have a chance like this to win a championship ever again as a Nets fan. This doesn't come around. We're not the Lakers. We're not the Celtics. We don't get these types of opportunities, okay? We got there in 2003. We haven't been back since. With Jason Kidd's days in the league has changed. It's become way more star-driven since those days. So I am a firm believer that Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving gives us the best chance to win. Probably the most talented big 3 of all time right there, because Kyrie is better than like a Bosch was in Miami. So yeah, we'll have to work through some stuff. Yeah, are those both are the guys some ball dominant players? Yes. Well, so they'll have to figure it out. But I believe these guys have a narrow focus. And then like, whoa, Kyrie, he's being weird. It's like, well, he was being weird before we traded for Harden. So if Kyrie's going to do this, we're screwed either way. So why not go for a guy like Harden? And then the idea of like, oh, you're screwing up the future. This is the future. This is the future. And then we'll say, and I'm covering all my bases right now, this is just like the Celtics trade. No, it's not. James Harden is not a washed up Kevin Durant or Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. It's not the same. It's just not the same at all. And people said, oh, that ruined your future. Did it? We missed the playoffs for 6 years. We were bad in that time span, but they rebuilt, got back to the playoffs, and then got back into a spot to get free agents. So after that trade, 7 years, 6-7 years later, we had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So yeah, does it make the future a little muddier? Yeah, but I don't think it just totally screws the future. And I don't care about the future. I want to win now.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that trade goes, it's not comparable to the Celtics trade. The Celtics trade, when you made it, I knew you lost it. I knew it was done. It was a dumb trade, in my opinion, when you made it. Because you had the Heat. You guys weren't even close to the Heat, even after making that trade with Kevin, like you said, an older Kevin Garnett, an older Paul Pierce. You guys weren't there. Maybe if everything broke right, you were going to be the second or the third best team in the East when you made that trade, and you mortgaged your future. Didn't make sense that time around, in my opinion. It's one of the worst trades in NBA history since I've been watching the sport. I knew it the second you made it. It made no sense. This trade is a completely different animal in itself. You guys were already arguably with Irving coming back when he finishes his voyage around the world, when he finds out if the globe, whether we're round or flat, when he comes back on the team with Durant, you guys arguably had the best team in the East. Probably not, but definitely top 2 or 3. This move, I think, makes you the clear-cut favorite to come out of the East. That doesn't mean you will. The Sixers definitely have a very good team. We'll see how it all plays out. But you definitely put yourself in a spot now to definitively come out of the East and potentially win an NBA championship, which as a Nets fan, that's all you can ask for. Now, the pressure is on. There's no doubt about it. When you make a trade like this, you gave up a first-round pick in 2022, 2024, 2026, and 2028. You gave up 2 good young players, and you gave up pick swaps in 2021, 2023, 2025, 2027. Now, of course, if you finish higher than them, you're not going to swap the picks, I would imagine. I don't know the specificities to that trade, but you gave up a lot. You gave up about as much as you could to bring in James Harden. There's no doubt about it. And Houston made out well in this trade. I don't think they could lose the trade because there's no way they could have gotten more than what they got for James Harden, in my opinion, being that teams, knew that he needed to be traded. But from a Nets fan's perspective, if you win a championship, who cares? I mean, all you should be thinking about right now as a Nets fan is you got Kevin Durant, who's on the wrong side of 30, who you hope has 3 or 4 great years left in him. You got Kyrie Irving, and you need to try to go full throttle and get this done. And if it doesn't work this year, you still have a very attractive destination next year to try to bring in some veterans to try to put this team over the top to add some depth. So I'm not going to just judge this trade on this year. I think you have a 3-year window now to win an NBA championship. And if this trade helps you get it done, as a Nets fan, you got to be thrilled.
Yeah, it's go, go, go. Like you said, championship or bust. And to me, as a sports fan, especially in a sport like basketball where windows are very short, it's always like that to me. Like, I don't value being like, there's a lot of people like, oh, with the culture. Like Evan Roberts was like, oh, this team talked to me about culture. It's like, you know why we talked to you about culture? Because we are capped out as a 6th seed in the East with D'Angelo Russell. Like that's what we are capped out as. So I just don't care about any of that. I want to win a championship. Especially for like the Nets that has never won a championship. They've never won a championship. And they've barely even been close. 1 year, they went 6 games. The other year, they got swept by the Lakers, and it wasn't even a series. So it's championship or bust to me. I could care less about culture. I could, does this ruin 2024 through 2030 for us? Probably. But what were we going to be in those years? Like, what were we going to be in those years? The only way we were going to be good in those years anyways was if we get free agents, which this doesn't stop us from doing. And like the Warriors, what they're doing, like they're starting to age. This makes you a landing spot for stars. Like this, yeah. Could Kyrie be gone in 2 years? Yeah. Could KD maybe want to move on? Yeah. But you still got James. Like you could re-sign James Harden, and you get whatever star that's available in 3 years. So it builds on each other. Doesn't mean that it's 3 years and done. Like this core may be done in 3 years. But the Nets getting players through free agency, which the league is that. And you can always trade for more picks. You can always trade this guy for and the Nets did a great job of that, where they didn't have any picks because the Celtics traded. And they took on contracts, traded them, took on contracts, traded them. So there's always a way to manipulate in the NBA. It's not like the NFL where draft picks are like gold. So yeah, did we give up a ton? Yeah. Does anyone look at those picks and be like, "Wow, Houston's set up"? Like, I don't expect Houston to be dominant now because of those picks going in the future. So it gives us the best chance to win a championship. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters to me as a Nets fan is winning a championship. And now we have something that nobody in the NBA has anymore. The Big Three died. The Big Three was dead last year. Like I remember we went through like every team's 3rd best player. I think the best one in the NBA was probably Jaylen Brown, that's definitely what it was.
You're right. There was a lot of duos, but there wasn't great trios.
There is no
Denver
right
now.
Like
maybe you could argue Denver has an emerging. What's his name?
But I don't think you can call. I don't think you could put like they have 3
Michael
guys
Porter,
I like, but you can't put Porter in that level.
No, he's not there yet. No, he's not there yet.
And this is the first Big Three where it's 3 perimeter guys. So I know that scares some people because like, oh, the whole one ball thing. But that excites me more. Where past Big Threes like, Bosch and Love, they got taken out of their game, which is to be in the post. And they got turned into jumps, jump shooters and rebounders, which like the way these guys play, it doesn't change any of their game. It just changes their usage rate to me.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. If you're a Nets fan, listen. The name of the game is championships. And if the Knicks were in the same situation, I'd do the same thing. I mean, I don't want the NBA. You either want to be really good or really bad. You don't want to be in the middle. Which is kind of where the Knicks are trending right now. I don't want to be there. I want to get to a point where you could attract free agents, and once you do that, you have a limited window. You don't know how long these guys are going to stay healthy. You got to go for it. So I commend the Nets for going for it. It may end up being a horrible trade, but it's not comparable to the Garnett trade. The Garnett trade, I knew it was horrible the second you made it. This one, you guys might be the favorites to win the NBA championship. If not this year, then the following year. Like you said, you got 3 really big-time players. I question the work ethic of James Harden. Looked like Santa Claus going into the start of the season with his belly hanging over his belt. I question the sanity of Kyrie Irving and whether or not he's motivated to go out there and win an NBA championship. He's taking days off. But if you could get it together, you're talking about having maybe the second or third best player on the planet in Kevin Durant. You're talking about having another top 7 or 8 player in James Harden and another top 15 player in Kyrie Irving. You have 3 of the top 15 players in the NBA on the same team. And they've all won championships before outside of James Harden. Harden's been to the finals. He's played with Durant before. There's chemistry there from his days with the Thunder. It's a slam dunk move. But if you don't win, it's a horrible move. So the pressure's definitely on.
Yeah, and Harden, I'm not worried about like the whole like he was willing, like he was trying his best to get out of there. Like he was trying to force him out. So, and even with that, he was averaging 25, 5, and 10. You know, so like I wasn't worried. I'm not worried about Harden at all. Like Harden is at least my worries. And people keep on bringing, well, Kyrie. Is he a worry? Absolutely. But guess what? He was a worry before James Harden. So if Kyrie, isn't there to show up before this Harden trade, we're not winning the championship. We're still a top team in the East, but we're not winning a championship with that team. And you got a guy who you can't move. Like, no one's going to trade for Kyrie in that state. So here's the thing. Kyrie is either going to show up for the playoffs or retire. I bet he's going to show up. I just bet he's going to show up. Is he going to be annoying on the way there? Absolutely. If I was a fan of the Knicks, would I make fun of that? Absolutely. So it's not me saying not make fun of it, but I would rather have all these headaches with Kyrie and like you should have known from the start with Kyrie. Well, yeah, we did, but we're not getting Kevin Durant without signing Kyrie. It's not like we could have signed, like it was either Kevin Durant and Kyrie or nobody. So I mean, I'm happy he's on my team because I think he will show up for the playoffs. And say he does go down, well, guess what? Yeah, is the roster around them great? No. But you have a duo of Durant and Harden. I mean, look at the Lakers last year. They were a ragtag team around James and Davis. So a duo of Durant and Harden, you really don't have to worry about offense a ton. But even like with that, you still got Joe Harris, who's a top shooter in the NBA. He's going to have all the space in the world. DeAndre Jordan. That's an issue. DeAndre Jordan is not very good.
Yeah, he played all right last night though. But yeah, no, I'm with DeAndre Jordan. I'm not a big fan of his.
You got Shamet, who's always gonna be a part of the rotation. Bruce Brown, who is probably a guy only Nets and Pistons fans know, but we love him. Like we think he should be playing more. We've been begging before this trade. We were begging Steve Nash to play him more because every time he plays, he shows up. So, when in the playoffs, when it's an 8-man rotation, we got Durant, Harden, Kyrie, Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan. He's like that's not a great win. Jeff Green, Landry Shamet, and Bruce Brown. That's a decent 8-man rotation. And you can play most teams. You could play every team in the East with Jeff Green as your 5. Like you could now the West. Now the Lakers are a whole different story because they have the big men's with Davis, and then they could get big and play Gasol and Harrell together. So the Lakers are a different story, but the Lakers were always going to be, the Lakers were always the competition anyway. So I think today we have a better chance versus the Lakers than we did, 2 days ago.
You gave yourself a chance, and it's the same thing that the Raptors did. Like everybody said, the Raptors had no chance a couple of years ago. They got something to bounce their way. Durant got hurt. You don't know what's going to happen. What if somebody goes down on the Lakers in the playoffs or before the playoffs? They look like a completely different team. You're giving yourself the opportunity to go out there and compete for a championship. And if you're a Nets fan, you should be thrilled. Do I think you're the best team? No, but I think you got a lot closer. And it sets you up for next year, like the Lakers did this year. They brought in a guy like Montrezl Harrell. There's going to be veterans that are going to want to come and try to win a championship. They're going to look at the Nets and they're going to say, they got everything they need. They just need those couple of extra pieces to put them over the top if you don't win this year. When you bring in the stars, everything else falls in place. Not to mention guys like Joe Harris. They're going to look a heck of a lot better when you got Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant on the floor, and they're shooting wide open threes time and time again coming down the floor. So if you're a Nets fan, you gave yourself a great opportunity to go out there and win a championship. That's all you can ask for. And they're going to be fun to watch. I'm not the biggest fan of James Harden. You ever watch that guy play defense? But the guy could score with the best. He's gotten
better the last couple of years, though.
He has gotten better. But he can score with the best of them. And he fits the arrow beautifully. He gets to the free throw line better than anybody else. He might be the most efficient scorer in the NBA. And if he's not, Kevin Durant probably is. So you guys got a ton of talent there on the offensive side of the floor. We'll see if Kyrie Irving comes back. But in the end, yeah, I think the Nets are going to be representing the Eastern Conference if everything goes according to plan. And the other thing is, I think with all these veterans, the Nets are going to coast. They're going to look at it like home court advantage doesn't mean anything in a year like this. You're more than likely, it's going to be like a bubble type scenario again, probably. I doubt they're going to have fans in the stands. Maybe they will by the time the playoffs start, but if they don't, it really doesn't mean much. So if you're the Nets, what's the point? Rest up, get ready for the playoffs. You know you're going to be there. You're not going to have to be playing these guys 40, 42, 43 minutes throughout the year. You rest up Durant, you rest up Harden, you rest up Kyrie. You get in as a 3 or 4 seed, and you do your damage when you get there. I think the Nets are in a great spot right now, and I envy that as a New York Knicks fan.
Yeah, man, it's an exciting time. They get to open up against my Orlando Magic with James Harden, so that'll be, like you guys saw me driving the Knicks fans. I have way more friends that are Orlando Magic fans, so I'll be driving the knife into them on Saturday with that game. So I'll have to have my eyes on the playoffs and the NBA Saturday night. But I'm happy with that. The Jags are getting Urban Meyer.
Is that official?
What do you think about? Yeah, it's official now. I guess something holding the deal was like Urban Meyer wants to go in and change the facilities, almost treat it like a college program. I think Urban Meyer is going to be a good coach. The more I thought about it, because I think he's probably had every opportunity to go to the NFL if he wanted to. Wants to. I think he's really going to put together a good staff and attack this head on and treat this like when you have leverage where like the team wants you have leverage to go in and be like, you guys need to change this. And that's something Nick Saban did when he went to Alabama. Like I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about Nick Saban. Like when he went to interview for Alabama, he trashed the place. He didn't be like, oh wow, the history of Alabama. He trashed the place like, you guys need to fix this, you need to fix this, you need to improve this, improve that. And some people were turned off of it, but the people who were wanted like, this is why he is who he is. So I think Urban Meyer is going to really attack that job. And like we talked about the other day, there's a lot to work with what the Jags have. With all that cap space, you have the first overall pick to get Trevor Lawrence, or maybe they surprise us and go someone else, but I think they'll probably land on Lawrence. So I actually think Urban Meyer is going to do as good a job as anyone could for that Jaguars job.
Yeah, Urban Meyer's been rumored to be potentially interested in coming to the NFL for a while. I always wanted to see it when he was hot, obviously with Florida and Ohio State, and a lot of people thought, he'd make a great NFL coach. He's one of those hot shot college coaches, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, the main draw is Trevor Lawrence. Like, I think he saw an opportunity to step in, be the head coach for a guy that he probably feels is going to be the best quarterback in football. Like, that's how high the expectations are for this guy, that he's going to be a top 3-4 quarterback. Those guys don't grow on trees, and it's kind of like getting James Harden for the Nets. You get that quarterback, everything else falls in place. You get the pieces around him. Urban Meyer probably thinks he can get the most out of the quarterback, and he sees a great opportunity there. I just think it's a shame that they're in Jacksonville. It's probably the worst market in the NFL.
Their stadium sucks, dude.
I've never been there. I've never been to their stadium.
It's horrible because, obviously, down here, it's just so hot. And, like, where their concessions and stuff are, I mean, it's like a concrete, like, hallway. And, like, the roof is, I mean, I'm tall, but the roof is literally at my head. And it's the hottest thing you've ever been in your life. It's brutal. But they do have the pool at the top that everyone goes in with in jeans and peas and all that. So
they do have the. They pee in it.
I mean, drunk people at a football game in a pool. They're not getting out of that pool to pee.
Yeah, I hope they clean that regularly.
Oh, they do. I would love to be the pool
honest,
guy for that.
have you been in the pool, Bobby?
I wish I had that. Like, I wouldn't turn that down. Don't get me wrong, but I just haven't had that access. Would you go in the pool?
After what you told me, maybe not.
I mean, everyone pees in every pool, though.
Everybody pees in every pool, but especially a pool at a football stadium. You're talking a lot of piss, Bobby.
Oh, that is a lot of piss. But they have like the. I mean, I could talk pool stuff forever. They have high tech.
That's what you do, right? Aren't you like a pool guy?
Yeah, I used to be. I mean, I still own a small business on the side doing it, but they have high tech computers that need a little bit of chlorine. Squirt some chlorine out for it. I mean, those places are high tech. I mean, every little piss. I mean, they burn that up right away with that chlorine.
I've only been to one other football stadium. I've been to FedEx Field. Obviously, I've been to the.
Heard that sucks.
I wasn't a big fan. I saw Paul McCartney there. I didn't see a football game, but wasn't a big fan when I went. Been to several baseball stadiums. I've been to like 12, but I've only been to 2 football stadiums.
I've never been to a pro baseball stadium. The football stadiums I've been to: the Jaguars, the Bucks, and the Dolphins, and then the Giants. So those are my 4 NFL stadiums. NBA, I've only been to the TD Waterhouse and now the Amway Center for the Magic, which sucks this year. I want to go to a Nets game so bad. Like, I go to a Nets game in Orlando every year, and then they have 3 superstars, and I don't get to go. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to break that.
What's the word on that with the NBA? Are they keeping it closed? They're not going to allow fans in the games at all?
I don't know. Let me look up Magic tickets.
I would imagine because it's indoors too, so I'd imagine they're probably not going to allow fans into the stadiums.
Yeah, but it's Florida, so they might.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
I mean, they're selling tickets from January 22nd. Oh, that's at the Pacers in Orlando. Charlotte Hornets at Magic, January 24th. Tickets for $9.
So I guess you can go.
Let's see if we got any Nets on there. Knicks, $19. Woo! Come on, bring the Nets on here. Oh, they don't have any Nets on here. This is the worst day of my life. So, yeah, maybe they will, or maybe they're playing it by year and they're selling them in the case that they do open it up.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. What do you think of the football games this weekend?
The Browns-Chiefs. I hope the Chiefs blow them out. I don't like the Browns at all. Those Ravens is going to be fun. I think everyone's leading the Bills, but I think I love, like, I just love those 2 matchups. They're 2 teams I like the way they build. And then Bucs Saints is fun for the storyline. Like, Brady versus Breeze is a fun storyline. The fact that they're older, people are making fun of it, but to me that's a fun storyline. So I hope the Packers win so we can have either Rodgers, Brady's, or Breeze representing the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, if you combined, I did the math on this, Bobby. If you combined Brady and Breeze's age, you get death. Because together they're 85, so you get death. But no, all kidding aside, I think it's a good storyline. I think you get the 2 older guys, and yeah, I'd love to see Aaron Rodgers going up against Tom Brady for a right to go to the championship. I think that's going to be a great game. Obviously, that's the headliner, the Saints and the Bucs, but there's a lot of great games. You said the Ravens and the Bills, and I actually think that the Browns match up pretty well with the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs. But I think the Browns are the type of team that could give the Chiefs a pretty good game. They have they run the ball effectively. They got a good offensive line. Mayfield can't turn the ball over, but I think the Browns can keep that game close. But I think we're gonna have a lot of good games this week, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's crazy. Remember when Brady said that he wanted to play until he was 45, and everyone's like, "This guy's an idiot," when he was like 38 or so?
Yeah,
he's gonna do it. Like, it's unreal what he's doing. Like, yeah, he doesn't have the same arm that he did at one point, but what he is doing is just unreal.
He threw 40 touchdowns this year.
It's unreal. Like, and that's I got so frustrated with people saying, I don't know if you were one of them, like, oh, Jameis was better. It's like, look at what the Bucs have done with Jameis and look what they've done with Tom Brady. Like, Jameis threw 30 interceptions last year. 30. Who are you rooting for that's left? The Bills?
I'm rooting for the Packers and the Bills. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers guy. I want to see Rodgers get his second championship. I think that will legitimize him as a top 4 quarterback of all time. So I'm kind of pulling for that. I've always been a big Rodgers fan. And in the AFC, I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. Have been since last year. I'm pulling for him. I'm pulling for that team. But I'm actually picking the Ravens this week. I think the Ravens are hot. Harbaugh has experience coaching in big games. I like the Ravens right now. I like the way they're playing. They got a good defense. I don't trust Lamar Jackson, but I think he could run the football, and I think the Ravens could run the football. I think it'll be a really good game, but I think I find it hard to believe as much as I like Josh Allen. I think he's going to make a couple of boneheaded mistakes, whether it's against the Ravens or whether it's against the Chiefs. I know everybody is super high on the Bills. I don't think they're there yet. I think the Ravens pick them off this weekend.
I can't wait to see what Baltimore does. Look, they're going to blitz the piss out of Josh Allen, and it's going to be fun. Speaking of piss, someone said piss and chlorine would be a great pen name.
What kind of music you think that would be? Piss and chlorine. Heavy
it's
metal?
got to be like heavy. It's got to be heavy metal. You say piss in it, like unless you're just saying piss and vinegar, like it's just got to be heavy metal. Yeah. Like it couldn't be like a smooth indie rock of like piss and chlorine.
Right.
You could work with chlorine with something like you could
chlorine. Go with that's any type of genre, but when you add the piss.
Chlorine. If I do start a band, I'm going to name it Chlorine. Now I'm thinking about it because people are like, what does that mean? Like I don't know, whatever you want it to mean, but it's a unique name. Like people would remember the band name Chlorine. So don't steal that, chat. You mentioned you're an Aaron Rodgers guy. Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, better QB?
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, come on. Brett Favre was so good.
Brett Favre was great.
He changed coverages. The guy didn't even know what a nickel defense was and was winning like 3 straight MVPs. I'm a Brett Favre over Aaron Rodgers guy, I like big time.
Oh no, I can't do it. I love Brett Favre. One of my favorite quarterbacks to watch of all time. Guy won 3 straight MVPs, gunslinger. I frequently compare Eli Manning to him in terms of the style of quarterback that he was. Not that he's near the talent that Brett Favre was. Favre had a cannon, and he's one of the most entertaining quarterbacks of all time. I gotta go Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you see the things Rodgers could do on a football field. The guy never turns the ball over. I gotta go Rodgers. I personally think Rodgers is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. Just pure talent.
Talented, but he's not better than Brett Favre. Brett Favre's
your hero.
I love Brett Favre, and I think he's better than Aaron Rodgers. I think the way the team just always was able to build around him. Now Aaron Rodgers is good, but I always go Favre over Rodgers in that debate. I want to hear someone say Favre anymore. People forget how great Favre was because Rodgers won that first Super Bowl. I was like, oh, he's going to win so many Super Bowls now, and he'll definitely pass Favre. It's like, well, just like Favre, he won that one early and didn't really have that success that he thought he would have.
Do you think that's the greatest? Like, if you're looking at teams quarterback duos of all time, you've got Young, you've got Montana, you've got Peyton, and what am I saying? You got Staubach and Aikman, you got Peyton and why am I forgetting his name right now? Back in the 60s.
Luck.
Luck. No, I'm way back, like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Peyton and my God, how am I forgetting this?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow and Cam Newton.
No. Somebody in the chat's gonna say it, but how am I forgetting this? He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But
he's from the 60s.
Yeah, 60s. Colts.
Oh,
Jets. Colts. Super Bowl III.
It's Johnny Unitas.
Unitas and Peyton. Colts. That's up.
Oh, best team all time duo.
Yeah, best team all time duo. Unitas and Peyton. But would you put that up there?
I think the real competition would be Montana Young. Yeah, I would go with that. I mean, you have guys, both guys won multiple MVPs, both won Super Bowls. So yeah, I would go that over Montana and Steve Young.
It's pretty close. Montana, Steve Young's pretty good, and Peyton and Unitas is pretty good, but they're certainly top 3. Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, pretty damn incredible. And then you got Eli and Phil Simms. Phil Simms. It's
imagine like you have your entire career of Brett Favre, and then it's like, okay, here's Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's so nice to be a Packers fan. Like, I know Andrew Luck got injured, but imagine the Colts. Like, you have Peyton Manning, who just makes you relevant every single year. Peyton Manning gets injured for the first time, and then you get Andrew Luck, who is maybe the best draft prospect of all time. Obviously, it went sour, but like that, the way they lucked into, no pun intended, into Andrew Luck was unreal.
Yeah.
So
no, pretty incredible. It's kind of like Duncan with the Spurs.
yeah,
How David Robinson goes down, they get the first pick, and then if not for that, maybe the Knicks win a championship. But it is what it is.
or the Nets in 2003. So
Yeah,
like you said, it is what it is. All right, let's do our picks of the day. Hockey's back. I'll get excited for this game. I got, Devils versus Bruins. I'm going Devils plus 1.5. The Devils are back. We're probably going to go back to the Stanley Cup. I feel it. I feel it in this team. Now, people who are actually hockey fans are like, look at this. Yeah, I am not a hockey fan. I am solely a New Jersey Devils fan. So I'm all in on the Devils this year. So I'm going Devils plus 1.5. Hockey's back. Are you a hockey fan? And or if you're not, do you have a team? Like, do you root for the Rangers?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't hate hockey. I can watch playoff hockey. I love going to hockey games. I think it's one of maybe the best live sport. I think it's terrific.
It is. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I actually pulled for the Islanders, but I wouldn't consider myself a diehard at all. I grew up on Long Island, so I adopted the Islanders, but I root for the Rangers if the Islanders are out of it. I know that's sacrilegious, but I don't consider myself a diehard hockey fan. I like the sport, but it's basketball, baseball, and football are way above it. And I don't know enough about it. I know the Islanders surprised last year. They went a lot further than people thought.
I'm basically the same way. It's football, basketball, baseball, and then hockey. But like I said, I watch the hockey playoffs here and there, and I always, I make sure to watch all the Stanley Cup games. So yeah, I probably would have been, like you said, going to hockey games is fun. Like I've been to a couple. Which is funny, my first hockey game I went to was Devils Lightning game 1 in 2018, I think it was. And it's hockey playoff atmosphere is electric, and Tampa loves the Lightning, so it's electric. So then the next game I went to was the next year on a regular season Tuesday night game, and I went in with the same intensity of a hockey game, like trash talking, and I realized like, oh, Tuesday night hockey in Tampa is like people going there with their kids and like shut up, stop yelling at the other team, like just sit back and enjoy the game. I learned that by the second period.
Yeah. Yeah, I love hockey games. I haven't been to one in a couple of years, but I'm a big hockey guy. But I am not going to pick a hockey game because I know nothing about the NHL or very little.
Me either, but I just had to go Devils.
Not that I know much about anything else, apparently. I think I'm 0-1-1. I split on my last one. I lost horribly when I picked against your Nets. I'm going to try NFL again this week. And there was a lot of spreads that I liked. A lot of dogs that I like with the points that they're getting. And maybe I'll be wrong. The Saints have blown them out the 2 times they've played them this year. Or at least one of the time. Maybe one of the games was close, but I think they beat them like 38-3 in one of their matchups when they played them. But I think it's very hard to beat a team 3 times. I think the Bucs are hot right now. Brady in the postseason. The Saints have the better all-around team, but I'm going to go with Brady. I'm going to go with the Bucs getting 3 on the road in New Orleans. Obviously, the home field doesn't play that big of a factor, even though the Saints are a little, obviously, quicker on the turf. But I'm going to go Brady in the big spot over Drew Brees. Give me the 3 points. Give me the Bucs.
Bucks plus 3. I like it. I like it. Chris, thank you for joining. Thank you, everyone else that's in the stream for joining. We'll see you tomorrow, myself and Danny. Until then, stay simple.